Does it? Okay, there you go. Thank you. So we have two more minutes before we start. 2 more minutes.
Yeah, I'm working hard because I'm the president of
Abigail said sit down.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start a little early because we have all board members here, which we've created a quorum. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming down and joining us tonight. I also want to say that our students are back at school, and it seems like everything has been running smoothly for the most part. So thank you so much to all our staff and our teachers and students for making this happen, as well as our parents. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And by that, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And if I can have, and I didn't, Ron, could you come up to the podium, please?
Okay, anybody remove any hats and put our right hand over our heart? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward to 1.3, adoption of the agenda. Before we adopt the agenda, Dr. Morrison, are there any changes?
We do have an item to read in, which will be item 4.7. This was posted as well. It's Footsteps to Brilliance update. So Tasha Doisen, Director of Elementary Instruction, and Dr. Gregory Spencer, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Equity Initiatives for Footsteps to Brilliance, will provide an update on the implementation of the Footsteps to Brilliance program. That's the added item.
All right, great. Can I have
So moved.
Second.
any further discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 1.5, closed session. No, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. 1.4, I'm already passing you, Dr. Hill. 1.4, inspirational message by our very own Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Madam President. Some of you may know I do a little poetry. Some of it is corny and some of it's pretty good. But at any rate, you have to decide tonight which is which. But this is primarily addressed to a poem to be dedicated to our school staff. August 6th was the beginning of a brand new year for students you might not have seen before. I hope you took the time to welcome each one as they eagerly came through your classroom door. They also are excited, not knowing what to expect, but they all arrive with different learning styles. They look to you for guidance for the remainder of the year, as some have traveled on the school bus for many miles. Don't take for granted that students don't want to learn. In spite of challenges, many of them show up every day. Some attend because they know the absenteeism law, while others really want to hear what you have to say. You still have time to teach and coach all of our students, since that's the only way they can be successful and grow. Sometimes they look sleepy, and perhaps that's the case, but please teach them well, and you figure out what they know. I've been there, done that, for quite a few years, and I've seen so many who displayed puzzling looks. Many years later, when I'm greeted with hugs and kisses and smiles, they ask how I'm doing and never ask about the books. I leave you with this message that could be from each student, that you will have the opportunity to impress. They want to see your kindness through hard work and dedication. Only then can you take them from better to best. So have a good school year, you hear? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill, for the message for all our students in our schools. So we're going to go ahead and go to 1.5, closed session, public comments. We will be adjourning to closed session early this evening. Before we do, are there any public comments specific to the closed session agenda? Okay, no, we have none. So now we go to 2.0, closed session. We will now adjourn to closed session. Thank you.
Doing your books.
We're back from closed session. We just need to have, wait, there's 4 of us here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open it up so that way we know many of the students are waiting. And I'm going to go ahead and report out. So coming back from closed session, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following employees. Coker Amy, Assistant Director of Elementary Instruction, effective date. Effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding 031. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Congratulations, Ms. Coker. We're gonna go ahead and, is she here?
Are you here?
If you could please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. Congratulations. She has done great work at Bradley Elementary School, because I've been there several times, and so she's going to be a great person at her new position. So 4.0 special presentation, Linda Bardier, can you please come forward? And this is special recognition, San Bernardino PAL Youth Leadership Academy graduates.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate some great achievements by our students and one of our dedicated administrators. I'd like to invite the Board of Education to please rise and come and stand behind me. And I would also like to welcome to the front the leadership of the San Bernardino Police Department. I know that Chief Bergwan and some of the other officers were here, so if any of them are still present, please come up and you will be greeting your students. The Board of Education and Superintendent Marsden have the pleasure of recognizing 2 groups of students who participated in programs sponsored by our San Bernardino Police Department. We will honor one of our very hardworking directors in educational services this evening as well. At this time, we will honor more than 24 students who graduated from the San Bernardino Police Activities League week-long Youth Leadership Academy. If any of the Youth Leadership Academy students are still here, please come forward and we'll recognize you with one group photo. Will you come forward? This is the Youth Leadership Academy. And we will make sure we have certificates, so we will give them to one of the officers to make sure that the students get them. And we'll take one quick picture. The Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District truly appreciates the partnership that we have with the San Bernardino Police Department, and we thank them for their personnel for mentoring our students and helping them to develop into exceptional student leaders. Next, we will recognize the middle and high school students who participated in the San Bernardino Police Activities League's Adventure Camp. As part of this experience, students spent 3 days camping in the San Bernardino Mountains under the guidance of the San Bernardino Police Department and with the support of our district's Student Services Division. Students, please come forward as a group if you participated in Adventure Camp. You will also receive your individual certificate of recognition following the group program. So any students that went to the Adventure Camp, please come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our Adventure Camp students a big round of applause as well. Let's give them a big round of applause. Again, we appreciate the support of our San Bernardino Police Department. They are critical partners in the work that we are doing in our community. Board, I don't want you to step away. We've got one more special recognition. At this time, we will honor Director of Accountability and Educational Technology, Mrs. Barbara Richardson. Would you please come forward? Barbara was recently named the 2018 Assessment Administrator of the Year by the California Educational Research Association, also known as SARA. The prestigious award Barbara received recognizes her contributions and leadership in the important area of student assessment. Barbara is truly an assessment guru, and she has been the driving force to ensure our departments fully understand the assessment data available to them. Audience, please join me in congratulating Barbara with another round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. This concludes our special recognition for tonight's board meeting.
Congratulations, everyone, and Barbara Flores. Barbara, Dr. Flores, congratulations. You're amazing. Period, you're amazing. But Barbara Richardson, congratulations again. We're going to go ahead and go to actually, let's go ahead. It's going to be 7 o'clock. We're going to move to public comments. Is that okay, every board? Since it's going to be 7 o'clock, would that be okay? Or should we? We have a few. We have. 3, 4, 5. We have 5, but then again, if you notice, the resolutions are not very long since they just need to read. So is that okay? Okay, just making sure that we're all on board. So then, resolution, I'm going to go ahead and start with Dr. White on that end with 4.4. You could read the resolution in support of AB 1754. And then Dr. Flores, you'll be able to read 4.5, resolution recognizing, okay? And Dr. Hill as well, the next one, 4.6. Yes, please.
There we go. All right, thank you, Madam President. Resolution in support of AB 1754. Whereas local California state preschool programs, CSPP, currently provide free early education for families who earn no more than $50,000 a year, and whereas every year thousands of CSPP slots go unfilled, resulting in school districts sending millions of dollars back to the Department of Education and thousands of children missing out on this crucial year of development. And whereas many of these unfilled CSPP slots are in high poverty communities where the median family income is only marginally above CSPP income eligibility requirements. And whereas research shows the benefits of quality early education include increased cognitive, language, social, and emotional development in young children, higher high school graduation and college attendance rates, and a reduction in crime. And whereas Assembly Bill 1754 would streamline eligibility for CSPP by removing income eligibility requirements for families living within the attendance boundary of schools where 55% of students are eligible free or reduced price lunch. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District fully supports Assembly Bill 1754 and encourages Governor Jerry Brown and all California lawmakers to support it.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 4.5, resolution recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. Dr. Flores?
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. The San Bernardino City Unified District joins other organizations in towns and cities in our state and nation and reflects on the history of a people who were part of this land long before the birth of the United States. Whereas Hispanic Americans have roots in Europe, Africa, and South and Central America, and have close cultural ties to Mexico and the Caribbean, and this diversity has brought variety and invaluable perspectives, experiences, and values to the district. And whereas Hispanics, one endless voice to enhance our traditions is the 2018 theme for Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas the district celebrates the vibrant Hispanic American spirit that influences our nation and also celebrates the practices of commitment to family, love of country, and respect for others, which are virtues that transcend ethnicity, reflect the American spirit, and are exemplified in the Hispanic American community. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District recognizes September 15th through October 15th, 2018 as Hispanic Heritage Month and directs appropriate activities for its observance to take place in district schools. So moved.
Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 4.6, resolution recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. Whereas good attendance is essential for student achievement and high school graduation, and developing the habit of regular attendance prepares students to succeed from cradle to career. And whereas the San Bernardino City Unified School District is dedicating resources and attention to reducing chronic student absenteeism and is partnering with teachers, parents, and school leaders to make attendance a top priority by raising public awareness, establishing targets and goals to ensure accountability. And whereas chronic absenteeism impacts low-income students and children of color particularly hard if they lack resources to make up for lost time in the classroom and are most likely to face barriers to getting to school. And whereas chronic absences can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, faith, business, community leaders, and elected officials work together to promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District recognizes that greater attention is needed to improve student attendance, and SBCUSD joins the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to reducing chronic absenteeism to give children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Now let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carried. Now, before we move into 4.7, the only reason why is because it's going to be 7 o'clock. If we can have the public comments address a hearing, and we have about 5 so far, and then we will move to 4.7 right after. So we will now conduct the public hearing.
Thank you.
Dr. Marsden?
Do you mean?
Yes. Sorry, public comments.
Public comments,
I apologize.
fantastic.
Yes.
So at this time, the board welcomes Anthony Howard on Community Engagement Publications. Welcome, Mr. Howard.
All right, and as you're coming forward, I just want to read really quickly, this is a time during the agenda when the Board of Education is prepared to receive comments from the members of the public on any matter within its subject matter jurisdiction, and then when recognized, please step to the podium, give your first and last name, limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The time for public comment by 6 or more individuals or any one topic is 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity to speak. You know, from time to time, I go on our website, the district website, and I look at the videos, the publications. And community engagement is a big deal. It is, and it's a tool of communication, both visually and auditory. So I took a popular culture class a while back, and you know, they said that everything you look at, you know, the people that look like you, whatever they're saying, that's the message, you know, for you. You know, so when I look at this community engagement publication that was launched in 2016, I don't see too many black boys, you know. Now, when the football team is displayed, you see us, you know, and I just thought that that was the wrong message to be sent into our community, especially given the challenges that we have and our position of immorality being promoted to their eyes and ears, you know. So I want to ask the district board members to maybe can we add some more young, black, successful, academically successful kids, because in these segments, you guys are advertising, you know, applications, student involvement, science projects, and I don't see black kids being shown in those segments. And other students look at this, you know, and parents look at this, families look at this, you know, and if we don't see each other, we're not gonna think the invitation is for us. And community engagement is a big thing. So my question to the district and to the board, who are we engaging? You know, and that's why APAC is important, because without black parents sitting at the negotiating table, there's no power, you know, and things can be negotiated for the best interests of our children, and we don't know if it's for their best interests or not, you know. So all I'm saying is, you know, APAC should be African American Parent Advisory Council is still advertised to the community in the acronym. You know, when I was at Cole, I recruited some, and they said, you know what, that acronym threw us off. You know, so can we please get that displayed or systematically passed to each household at IEP sit-downs or any type of meeting? You know, I just think that that pamphlet with that information is powerful, and it's a tool, you know, for black families to say, oh, okay, let's go sit down and talk, you know. And bring in the counselor, the school police officer if you need to, because the discussion needs to be made. Thank you.
No, thank you for bringing that.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Howard.
Anthony.
Board welcomes.
Yes. Hold on one second. Dr. Flores?
I want to thank you for coming and pointing it out to us. It's really important. I'm a children's author, and you're correct. If we don't see ourselves in displayed and different scenarios, then we don't exist, and we're not valued or respected. And so our kids and our families need to see all different ways that we're achieving and being loving to each other and you know, collaborating together and so forth. So I agree with you. Thank you for pointing that out to us.
Thank you,
but
Mr. Howard.
I really
Board
want to
welcomes
see those
Ms.
changes.
Hold on one second.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Board welcomes Ms. Linda Hart. Oh, okay, very good.
And what's the other gentleman's name?
Okay, my name is Carlos Garcia.
Very good. Good evening, Mr. Garcia. Ms. Hart?
Can I approach the board and hand you some statistics?
Yeah. Do you want to pass it
Yeah,
out to?
give those- Dr. Wiseman here. Thank you.
So while you are receiving those, I just have a brief, because I know everyone is very busy. Anyway, good evening, board chair, board members, and superintendent. You have data showing chronic absentees from various schools. And I just want to read a little something from the Journal of Education for Students Placed at Risk, Chronic Absentees and its Effects on Students' Academic and Social Emotional Outcomes. It's been suggested that chronic absentees is not only undocumented, but very detrimental to the success of students as early as kindergarten. That said, research had explained the effect of chronic absentees on student outcomes. Students elevate effects of chronic absentees on both achievement and socio-emotional outcomes. The findings suggest that chronic absentee reduces math, reading achievement outcomes, reduces educational engagement, and decreases social engagement. The study offers new evidence on how to measure the aspect of missing schools, how the aspect of missing school impedes students' attainment. Therefore, policies and practices are very necessary. 2 months ago, the African American Health Coalition came before you with results from a pilot program, School First Student Attendance Recovery, which showed great success with 98% of students back in class. Our research shows students within 3 weeks started being absent. Our strategy to intervene early and provide case management services for children and their families, I shared that the agency had already implemented a plan, but was told by student services they did not want to make any quick decisions and it would take time to implement. Research also shows students who are at school in class have better outcomes to graduate, helping to stop the school to prison pipeline. We are aware of other services being provided through the CHEW Loma Linda University, which is great, but our partnership with Dignity Health, Arrowhead Clinic, and other community clinics allow parents greater options and access to needed services. Our acts allow us to continue student family support services in our partnership in helping our district students and families. Thank you. As you see there, the number one again are African Americans, along with the other. I highlighted the actual raw numbers because I'm a raw number person, like someone else I know. And then I also have the percentages. So we would definitely, for the month of September that you have acknowledged as the absentees month, we would definitely like to get in the trenches and work with our students and reduce these absentees rates down to at least to the county level, which, as you can see, is above even the county level. So again, we look forward to our partnership.
Thank you, Ms. Hart.
Okay, my name is Carlos Garcia. Yes, only I'm bringing the testimony because I'm working with Linda Hart and the School First, the program. But this testimony, he broken my heart because I'm found one family, and then I'm asked to the little boy, hey, why you so missing to the school? And then he answered, he told me, hey, you know what, because my parents is separately, so it's divorce. So the guy is staying in depression and so many things. And then I'm looking for him counseling. And then it's really sucks, you know, but it's impact this program. And la comunidad latina, los latinos, hay mucho problema en eso porque ocupan mucha ayuda.
All right.
Gracias.
Okay,
Gracias.
muchas
Thank you
gracias.
very much.
And just to clarify, he just
Thank
mentioned
you.
that this impacts the whole community as well, and not just the Latinos, so thank you for bringing that. Muchas
Thank you.
gracias, se lo agradezco.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Board welcomes Mr. John Futch. You bet.
Hi, my name is John Futch.
Good evening, Mr. Futch.
How you doing?
Doing great.
The president, vice president, the superintendent, the board, and the community, I have a couple of schools that I was looking at, going through some data that was just happened to be laying around. And I was kind of surprised what I saw, but I found a couple of schools, and I won't mention their names, but an elementary school and a middle school. And both of them had high disadvantaged and socioeconomic backgrounds in the 90s. So they were pretty, there was some problems there. But I was looking at the suspensions, and when I look at the suspensions, it was interesting to see that the African Americans were number one, and the percentages were with, you take the population, the percentages of suspensions wasn't that big, 12.4, but that was high for the number of people that this was
Right.
this was concerning. And I just, that's 17, when you have a 12% number of suspensions for a population of 177, that's kind of high. It's high, very high. And I was concerned with that because these kids finally, even staying in all that trouble, it hurt. It hurts to see the fact that they still have another place to go. They started in elementary school. I went to their feeder middle school, and their percentage was 30% suspensions. Now, leaving from this school and heading to a middle school, whereas worse, just think the 12%, I feel sorry for the 12% that are going into the feeder school. Because what's going to end up happening, they're going to be, their name is all over the place. They already know who's coming in. And I'm worried about the students having to carry that reputation from here to here. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's what they talk about when they talk about school to prison. That's a path. That is a true path. I won't mention, like I said, I won't mention the schools, but this is how that goes. The 12%, even if you take one or two of them, it's going to increase, and that's each year. That's each year. You're still never going to get somewhere along the line. This has to come to a halt because it's really messy here. The higher up they go, the messier it gets, and the next thing you know, they are in prison.
Right.
So I just wanted you to be aware of that. I don't know what you're doing to stop that. I know you try to do everything you can for the youth in this community, but somewhere along the line, the African American student, which I was just looking at, it's not showing. It's not showing much, even if the increase is only a quarter and 0.25 in one area. It's 30. When you get to 30% at your next level, you got a problem. You're throwing the guys right into the lion's den, And guess what? The Lions are winning.
Right. And we did, just for your information, at the last board meeting, we did have a report regarding suspensions, expulsions, even absenteeism and so forth. And that's something that we do take seriously, and we're working on that. So
That's what made me look at this, because the bottom line is, if you're going to show the decrease, you also need to show the increase.
Right.
Because that is the biggest problem. Be happy about the decrease, but keep the increase on your mind. That's the one that should be concerned about. The rah, rah, rah is short-lived after you see these numbers.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good point well taken. Thank you, Mr. Futch. Board welcomes Kathleen Valdez. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I'm coming before you today to talk about two topics. The first one is that various school sites have not received their consumer workbooks yet for grades 3 through 6. And so teachers are having to make copies, or, at my daughter's school site, they are only allotted so many copies throughout the school year. And so the teachers are having to use their copies to make copies of last year's books. And so if you guys can look into that and get them to the school sites as quickly as possible, so teachers are able to have all the tools that they need for teaching and to give homework for the students, that would be great.
What subject is this?
It's the math one. It's called Envision.
So the
Envision Math 2.0 volumes 1 and 2. They don't have them yet. They got them for K through 2nd grade, but they haven't received 3 through 6 yet, and they're still waiting on it. And we're already in the 3rd week of school. So
this is for elementary.
Yeah. So
Elementary
they
school,
had
okay.
all summer to get them to the school sites, and they don't have them yet. And so
Are these the actual books or
they're
the
not-
packets?
They're not the textbooks. They have the textbooks. It's like the
Workbooks?
thick
The
workbooks
workbooks?
where they can,
Tear it
because
out,
usually
okay.
K through 2, they tear them out. But my oldest, she's in 5th grade, and they bring those books home, and they send them home with homework and things like that. So right now, her teacher's having to make copies. And at Palm, they only allow so many copies per teacher. And so I don't know if that's a school board policy or what, but they're having to use their copies wisely, and if she's having to do that for,
Sure.
every day and stuff,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Well, I thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah. And then the second one is the community eligibility program. I was called the 2nd week of school saying that my kids were going to qualify for free lunch at Palm, and I was super excited. Then the following day, we were called and said that it was a mistake. So it led me to research and what is this program and why isn't Palm involved in it? Well, it turns out there's only 4 schools within the whole school district that are not participating in it. One is not quite an elementary school, and the other 2 is Cajon and Pacuma Elementary. Those are the only schools that are not participating in it, and I'm kind of wondering why.
Okay,
And
good
so I
question.
looked at what it is, and it's because they're not in low-income areas. However, Palm is a magnet school, and so there are students who attend Palm who are not from that area. They could be from low-income areas, so they're not qualifying, for that community eligibility program because of where it is. But I don't know if you guys could take that into consideration, because I called the main office, and they told me that you guys, the school board, would have to vote to combine schools if they wanted to. I know it all deals down to money and things of that sort, if it's feasible, but if you guys could reevaluate it and see if that's...
What we'll do is we'll take a look at that, and then I'll have someone from our staff reach out to you, so you'll
Yeah.
have a good answer what that looks like.
And
So
Dr.
thank you.
Marsden, I would like to request a board correspondence on this, so that
Certainly.
way we can
Absolutely.
understand what
Sure.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
thank
bringing
you
this
so
to our
much, yeah.
attention.
Thank you.
Appreciate your coming tonight.
I have a question
Dolores?
for Dr. Marsden.
Yes.
Who takes care of, I know we have a policy
Mhm.
of providing all kids breakfast and lunch. I thought it was district-wide.
Yeah, we'll get an answer back to you specifically, yeah.
But who handles that?
Our nutrition services.
Our
department,
nutrition
yeah. So we'll-
services.
we'll get the answer back to you.
Yeah, I spoke to Nutrition Services twice, once today, and I was told that there are, sorry, There are 13 schools within the school district that are participating, and there are only 4 that are not. And the ones that are not are because they are not in low-income areas.
So we'll,
That's what I was
yeah, we'll
told.
get you a better answer or the complete answer, and the board as well. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time tonight.
All right, thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Board, those are all of our comments tonight.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all the board, all the public comments. We're going to go ahead and go to 4.7, which is Footsteps to Brilliance update, and Tasha Doisen and Director of Elementary Instruction, as well as Dr. Gregory Spencer, Vice President, Strategic Partnerships and Equity Initiatives for Footsteps to Brilliance. We'll provide an update of the implementation of the Footsteps to Brilliance program. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me kick it off first,
Okay.
Ms. Abbott, Ms. Medina. The board requested an update on Footsteps to Brilliance program. We're happy to do so. Happy to have Dr. Spencer with us tonight. I've asked Ms. Dwyzon, our Director of Elementary Instruction, to give you a BC, a board correspondence. It's in front of you of some of the detail. I've asked her to annotate that detail with you tonight and key up our guest tonight and our partner from Footsteps to Brilliance to give you a sense of where we've been, what we're doing now, and what our next steps are. So I'd like to have Mr. Wizon kick it off. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent Marsden, and esteemed board and cabinet. I am here to give you an update on the implementation of the Footsteps to Brilliance initiative, also known in the community as Reading Makes Hope Happen. Before you, I have a BC, and I would like to take a few minutes to highlight some of the actions that have taken place thus far. Footsteps to Brilliance was purchased by the district in November 2017. It's a literacy app that gives children, that helps children develop early literacy skills. It's available to students from pre-K, so really all students in the community up to 3rd grade. It's best suited for them. In January 2017, Cynthia Ceja, who's right behind me, she was hired as our community liaison between Footsteps and the district. So we do a lot of work with Cynthia. Reading Makes Hope Happen is the slogan of this early literacy initiative. To date, a total of over 1,000 hours have been logged by students and families on the app, which equates to over 2 million words read and over 7,000 books read. There have been over 92 community events in which Cynthia has been present. Partnerships have been established with over 29 different community organizations such as Cal State San Bernardino, the Mexican Consulate, and local libraries and churches, just to name a few. Our next steps include increasing awareness of the program in the community through the use of district social media, speaking at parent events, and displaying banners at the school sites to let parents know this app is available to them. To provide more insight, we have Dr. Gregory Spencer, Vice President of Strategic Partners and Equity Initiatives, and you just heard from Ms. Valdez, but she's also here to speak on behalf as a parent who is using Footsteps to Brilliance.
All right, great, thank you.
Good evening, Board President Medina, board members, Dr. Marsden, community, and the staff. I really appreciate the opportunity to come share our successes and opportunities in phase 1 as we move to phase 2 of our partnership. So on behalf of our founders of our organization, once again, we thank you for the opportunity to share with you this evening. I brought an executive summary, and if I may, I'd like to pass that out for board members and staff. So to comment on the things that have been said so far, we really, once again, see the partnership really growing. So phase 1, as we talked when we partnered many months ago, was to establish a community outreach initiative to get the opportunities to serve community organizations, to start partnering with them, and basically get the word out to the entire community. So as that has continued to evolve, I want to highlight on the left side of the packet of the executive summary some elements that we're really proud of with the partnership with the district and the community. Phase 1 milestones at the bottom of page 1 denotes that there's been a 60% increase month over month of the usage of the program. So as we start to work in the community, we're seeing a continued uptick in the engagement happening because now parents are letting kids know and they're letting siblings know, and so we're seeing great impact there. As Tasha shared, 94 community events have been shared so far. But the other key thing is that we were really fortunate to be able to have a summer program this year. And myself and our founder flew out from DC to visit the program in action. And the beautiful thing about that is that there's still a 98% retention of usage of that summer program from the kids that were in the program. So kids are loving it, they're engaged with it, and they're having a lot of fun engaging with the program. If I can turn your attention to page 2, in terms of completed milestones, Tasha just mentioned some of those, but I wanted to provide you with a graphic to show since the inception of our partnership in January to 2018 to now, you can see the impact that we've made, and I'll make sure you get all of this information electronically, of course. But now we're at the bottom right, phase 1 board report is where we are today, with our intention of making suggestions, as we talked about many months ago, in terms of where we can go to phase 2 to really, really explode the impact in the entire community and for those school sites as well that wanted to have engagement there as well. On page 3, we have testimonials, but bring your attention to the charts. So as we looked at the words read, for example, we're seeing an unbelievable uptick, as I said, an average of 60% growth per month with engagement with the platform. Time spent on the platform, as was mentioned, over 1,000 hours so far, and almost 8,000 books read in this, frankly, this short amount of time. So we see the continued progression, and we see the continued opportunity to continue to serve. I want to thank Cynthia Sale because of her leadership in the community. We're really meeting a lot of organizations that, frankly, we would not have otherwise. So your commitment to community outreach is noted there as well. The next page after that looks at the summer program highlights. And Ms. Valdez is going to speak on her engagement with the program with her kids. But I want to also give a shout out to Ms. Talika Byther, who was the summer school instructor during that time. And because of her involvement, we were able to help impact the kids' areas of reading, comprehension, skill development, and more importantly, frankly, in my opinion, the love of learning, literacy, reading, and writing. And you can see some of the student accomplishments there. A couple of highlights there, 607,000 words just in the summer program, in the few weeks we were in the summer program with a couple of dozen kids. Over 258 hours on literacy, time on task, that can be measured per child. And then at the bottom there, as I said, looking at the program overview, the program, as we walked around the classroom, talked to kids and engaged with them, they were having fun, they were engaged, and they really, really seemed to enjoy the opportunity to have a safe, self-paced learning environment. And then a couple last things I'll point out to you on page 5. We did have 7 school sites wanted us to explore exposure to the program to some of the teachers to get this in the hands of kids during the summer as well. So they've had some experiences that we're excited about as well, and that's part of our phase 2 recommendations that we will have, and I'll talk on in just a moment. And then a couple last things on the final page I'll make note of is when we look at the next element of our partnership, phase 2 is critically important. This is where we initially, at your request, brought this into the community initially to kind of get our feet wet and kind of kick the tires and get it out there in the community. Phase 2 is important because now this is the opportunity at the superintendent's and board's direction to bring this into the schools in such a way that's appropriate. So for example, teachers can at least make sure their kids are aware of it and they can use it at home, because we know teachers have so much on their plate right now. But as we would hopefully have an opportunity to roll out into the schools at some point, then it will explode your access to the program, because kids will be using it at home and sharing this with their siblings as well. So, and then lastly, we have examples of the kids' work in the summer program. And as you can see, digital literacy is at the core of what we do. So kids are learning how to write, create stories, and you can see the stories that they've created in both English and Spanish. So the bottom line is that phase 1 has been very successful in terms of the measurements compared to other districts and communities that we partner with. and phase 2 will just take it to a whole nother level. So thank you so much. Any questions or comments I can respond to?
And do we have Ms. Rogers?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I think I have to pull it up closer. Thank you for your presentation. I was looking at, because you said this is phase 1, and so phase 2 will be this explosive, different outreach. But, and you all mentioned, I guess they're not listed, there was 92 outreach opportunities, I think, something to that nature, right?
Yes.
And is this list on page 5 a combination of some of them that you outreached of the 92?
These are the organizations that included outreach to those organizations, different events in the community, and we have a spreadsheet where we keep a record of that, and we let Dr. Keenan's office, Mitchell's office know, as well as Tasha and the team, so that they're up to speed as to the activities.
Okay, because my concern is because I remember the data, some of the things that you were doing in Rialto. So when I look at this list, and just thinking about our last speaker that came up, this is a various portion of the list, which is great, but I don't see any outreach to any of our African American groups as well too. So I don't see your full list, the 92. I just see this one right here, and of which many of them that I know specific to the populations that they serve.
Right.
But that would be a concern, or for something that I would like to definitely see, especially when we have the community coming and asking us the exclusiveness that needs to be there, for our entire community. And when we talk about reading, we know that this is essential, and this is going to help launch, a group that is struggling already, so that if we're launching initially. So is there more that you would provide for us or can give us outside of this, what we have here?
Yes, absolutely. We can provide you a more detailed
Yeah.
overview. And if I can address the African American group and any other group, this is where phase 2 really can take it to another level, because what we typically do is we then work with the school district and community to form a literacy collaborative, which is inclusive of all organizations in the community that are going to be coming to the table and helping to really impact their constituents that they specifically serve. So that really is the element that really continues to explode and expand the access as well.
And we would definitely need to get them to the table.
Yes.
So that they would even know, because I would be curious, there's several groups that come to mind if they're aware, and I know we've already had individuals come and ask us about reading, and so we want to be able to direct and know that those key partners are in line.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for that report. Now, I know that we contracted with you to provide like an extensive database and kind of characterization of results and everything.
Yes.
This isn't that.
This is
right?
just a synopsis, but we have
Yeah.
a dashboard, we have database, and all the data is available to your office,
Have they seen it yet? I would imagine it's demographic breakdowns and all
Yes,
kinds of.
zip codes, areas we're serving, so
interesting.
that we know where we need to be more impactful in community outreach. It has the comprehension, reading level, skill development level broken down per individual, per school site, once we're able to roll into the schools and/or organization. So all of that data is available so that you can disaggregate that data and see exactly what's going on.
Dr. Marsden, do you know if our staff has received any of that data yet and stuff? Just curious.
Yes, our staff has received it and working closely with Footsteps to Brilliance. I also want to remind the board that we have a parent speaker, and we haven't finished the presentation, so I'm trying to figure out if we can ask her to speak.
Well, so so we can have the public, after, if we can have her speak. I don't know if you have any more questions, and then is the board okay?
Yeah.
I do.
And we'd be happy to provide more
Do you wanna hear the
detailed
parent
data
first, or-
on the program specifically, Mr. Gallo.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Danny has, and
yeah, so Danny, it would be after Mr. Gallo, would be Danny, and then Dr. Flores.
And I guess some of my concerns are the same thing that Mr. Gallo talked about. I know when we talked about doing this, the $1 million part was the part about getting access to the data.
Yes.
But we knew we weren't going to be successful unless teachers bought into the program. I mean, the numbers I see right now, I mean, aren't the results we're looking for. We're looking for something on a much larger scale than this.
Absolutely.
And my whole thing is, we said that we had a commitment from the district that this was going to be the #1 reading program in the elementary schools, and this can be the go-to system, so that at some point, those numbers should reflect that. So I guess the next presentation we should have should be from the district staff, showing us how to use the tool, showing us how to use this. If you remember right, we were paying for access to the data.
Right.
This part, allowing people to read, was free. So I want to see where we're getting our bang for the buck, and information, not so much from parents, but from staff that are using it as a tool to move the numbers that we're looking at and as our key performance indicators. That's where it has to show up, and we got a commitment from the staff that this somehow was in line with the Common Core and the textbooks that we're using, so that was going to benefit. That's what I'm looking for. And if we're not there, at some point there has to be a staff member to get the presentation and explain to us how that's working and being implemented. That's what I'm
All
looking
right,
for.
thank you. Dr. Flores?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Spencer and Tasha for presenting. I'm also concerned, like Mr. Tillman is, for the increasing access, number of access for our students. And just a clarification, this program is for everybody in our city.
Absolutely.
Correct? For
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
Just not our pre-K through third.
Correct.
It's for everybody, for them to have access. And so the other day I was talking to some of the tech people, and I showed them my app, and they go, "Oh my God, my 3-year-old would love it." And she works in our district and lives in our district. And so, that also for our employees, right?
Yes.
So it's for everybody.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify. But getting back to what Mr. Tillman said, to increase access, what has been your experience in terms of how to take it to another level? What do we need to do as a district to support from our staff?
Sure. So quite frankly, in the districts around the country, in California, your neighbors right up and down the street, what they've done for example, I'll just share what your neighbor Rialto has done. They've been working with us for about a year and a half now. They brought it into the schools and the community, and the teachers are using it 30 to 45 minutes a week during their ELA time. Our curriculum team has embedded our platform with their curriculum, so it's not another thing. It's embedded as a supplement to what they do. So Rialto, for example, they've read over 2 million books. They have read over 700 million words. They'll probably be at 1 billion words before the end of the school year. And they've done over 16,000 projects with the platform. And all this is trackable, of course, in real time. So they have decided to bring this into the school. And I'll be honest with you, there was some hesitancy because there's just so much on the teacher's plate. But when they saw how easily it integrated, and then they were able to use it as a supplement, especially at home, then they saw the impact explode across the entire city. The main reason is because now that the kids in school are using it, their siblings are more apt to know about it and use it. Mom or dad are more apt to know about it, and then it just explodes like wildfire. So that's what we have found in districts that have just very simply brought it in the schools at the right time, and then they're able to help complement the work they do.
What's the data like for African American and Latino kids?
With our program, across the board, the comprehension level rate is in the 79 to 82% range when you look at our program and you disaggregate that data over those other populations. So comprehension levels are tracked, skill development, reading levels, all those elements are tracked, and then that data can be uploaded to your system where you can also look at further reporting as well. So it's a very robust LMS built in that can communicate with your student information system as well.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that type of data. We're looking to, not just the data, but our kids need to be able to be proficient and read.
Yes.
And what I love too about the platform is it's biliteracy in Spanish and English for our ELs and vice versa for our kids to learn Spanish that are English language learners. And I just want to also ask you, in places where you've had the program for, say, 3 years, what's the robustness of it? Where are they at now?
It's about
comparably to a district of ours. Are we a large district? What are
Oh,
the-
yes, you're definitely in the top 10% of our
Right.
districts in the country,
Okay.
yes. So once we are able to hopefully get it into the schools and start rolling out, that your words read and so forth will explode over 100-fold. So you'll be at 250 million, you'll be at 300 million, because when we look at a district like Rialto, they brought us in the schools, and for the very first time, all of their 19 elementary schools had double-digit increases in literacy, reading, and writing scores in just 5 months. So the impact is almost immediate, and that's when it really takes off, because when teachers and site leaders and parents and children see the impact, they want to engage more.
How many minutes a week or did the teachers, or a day, did the kids engage in using Footsteps to Brilliance?
And where, Rialto?
In Rialto.
30 to 45 minutes a week.
A week, so that
Yes.
meant 10 minutes
Yes, it can be a whole group, it can be a small group, individual instruction, but they've integrated. But the key for that is getting
that
them
was
to
it?
use it at
Only
home.
30 minutes?
30 to 45 minutes a week, yes. That's it.
All right. Okay. I would like to recommend, Dr. Marsden, that our management, like Danny said, that we need to get our staff engaged, that Dr. Spencer present to management, to our principals, so that they know about it, and to all of management, because this is really important. And it's for our community. And just like Mr. Futcher says, hey, let's get the show on the road, let's have some data, let's produce, and
Yes.
we need to get our our community involved. Parents surely are involved, and we download it. We don't have to be on the net.
Right.
We download it once, and it's accessible. My granddaughter uses it. My 5-year-old, when she was 4 years old, she just plays with it. I mean, it's just amazing. She just moves it in and out. I mean, it's amazing. So that's one of my recommendations, that we do that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Flores. Before I ask my personal questions, I do want to bring up the parent that had her testimony, so she can speak briefly on what she wanted to say.
Hello.
Hi again.
Just wanted to start off by saying thank you for providing this app. I found out about it first through Cal State. They had like a movie in the park, and that's how I found out about it. And then I seen a flyer at the county library. So you guys are out there in the community, and it's really cool. My son loves it. He likes playing on the different games, and he doesn't even know he's learning, and he has like a little speech. We're working on his speech, and so he clicks on it, and he can record himself repeating the words, and he really likes it. And it reads to him, and my daughter, who's in 1st grade, she likes it, and she wrote her own little book. And it's really cool. It's a really nice app that it's not hard for them to figure out. Once they kind of figure out the lay of the page, they're flipping through it, and I'm like, how'd you do that? And my son's showing me, and it's a really nice app, and they're learning, and they don't really realize it. And so and as a mom, I feel really comfortable with them being on it, because they're not like, there's no ad pop-ups, and you're not having to worry about, did they buy something, or you can trust that they're on a safe app, and that the school district is providing this to the community. It's really awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you.
All right, thank you so much for presenting that, for sharing your story. Okay, and so my question are few. And first of all, how many students were involved in the summer program and then currently right now? I see that there's 367 student published books, but it doesn't necessarily specify how many students were involved. And the reason why I say that is that, for instance, Richardson, they have a great reading program. One student can read a lot of
100
words.
books.
I mean, it's like there's
Million
one student.
words.
So if you have 5 students reading it, so they could probably accumulate some of these numbers. So what I'm saying is that how many students are involved in this particular program for the summer as well as currently right now?
So it was what, since 24? 24 students per session in the summer program that we had. That's
So
what these
24.
numbers reflect.
Okay. And then currently, we don't know how many students are involved. Do we have that number?
Well, the summer program is over. In terms of involved currently, excuse me.
I know the school just started, so I don't know if it's been.
So, excuse me, so the students that already had accounts from the summer continue those, and then any community members have, but we can get those exact numbers. That's in the dashboard reporting on the
Okay.
website as well, and that's in real time, so we can get that to you and make sure you have access to the link as well.
Okay, so then we need to get more students involved.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that, like Dr. Flores mentioned, trying to get administrators involved at the school site and having more teachers. So I'm curious on what that actually looks like in the school. Is there a designated time for our teachers? I know you mentioned Rialto has a designated time for students to learn in the classroom. Do we have anything like that?
They've embedded the time into their ELA program, so it's all part of their literacy arts. that
Here in
they-
San Bernardino?
No, I'm
But
talking
in
about.
Rialto, similar to Rialto, do
I'm
we have
talking about
anything?
Rialto, and then Pomona and other districts. So what we've done is we come alongside whatever curriculum that you already have invested in, and then our literacy team has embedded our platform within that, so we make sure it's tied to the scope and sequencing, so it's a hand-in-glove fit.
But do we have anything similar to our classes or teachers are using this in the
No.
classroom?
No, that's part of our recommendation for phase 2.
Okay. And the contract, is that for a one-year contract? I just want to recall what was the amount of the contract, how long
It's
ago?
a perpetual lifetime contract that you have.
Okay. All right. Okay, any further questions? Dr. Flores?
See Mama Kim from Acoma. And Dr. Spencer, you need to go over there because they see how many kids a week? 85 to 90 a day. So that's over in the West End by Rio Vista and Arroyo. So we need to go there. That's what Mrs. Rogers was saying, that we need to get all our other groups engaged.
Absolutely.
So, thank
All
you.
right. And then Dr. Hill, you have a question or comment?
Thank you. As you know, I've been sold on the program since I first saw it through First Five Commission.
Right.
And just glad you're part of this district, because we can't talk about reading by third grade and not do anything about it. So I appreciate the investment, and I was also in Rialto at their sessions and the excitement of the parents. I'm hoping you can get into the schools in some kind of way. We need to let the teachers know we don't want to put anything in addition on a plate. We want to help you, because I was at Riley, and I was talking to a parent who was there with their kindergarten, and I asked her if she was familiar with the program, and she said no, and I just said, well, you will be, and you're going to be excited about it. I'm glad in the information, well, to both of you, good presentation, thank you, but I was so glad to see the create a book. And the kindergartners, they're just absolutely wonderful. I'm just so impressed with the work they're doing, and maybe if you can share some of the literature you shared with us, the information you shared with us at those school sites, they'll be knocking on your door to get in, to have their students do this. I see a lot of hope in our students reading, and just commend you for the work you're doing. So
Well,
thanks
thank
to
you
both of you.
Thank you for the partnership.
All right, and just a quick, for those that are watching us on television, how do we access this?
So you would have.
Do
you
like
would-
a little promo right there.
Yes, so you would go to your website, and then you would go to the link under San Bernardino and City Unified School District, and then if you are part of the district already, if your child is in the district, that district's, that child's name is already in the system. All they have to go in is turn on the app. If you're in the community, within the confines of your city, zip code, board trustee area, you go onto the link, it's gonna ask you to give us your information, and then you register, and then you're up and running within 90 seconds or so, and it's a very easy, simple process. We also have online tutorial videos in English and Spanish to make it very simple for the community.
And then Dr. Flores mentioned that there's an app. Is that separate, or is that what you're talking about?
This is the app.
Okay, that is the
Yes.
app, okay.
How do they download the app?
They would go to the Google Store or the Apple
App
Store,
Store, mhm.
and they would download the app that way.
And it's free?
It's 100% free.
Okay.
100% free. I want
Okay,
to make
we're
sure
gonna-
that's clear.
We're going to have to make sure we use this promo to try to advertise it as much as we
You
can.
should
So
say it in
thank you.
Spanish.
Si se puede nomás agregar de que la información se puede bajar por medio de teléfono app, que es una tienda que es en...
Se llama app.
Se llama app,
Apple app,
pero se llama, ¿cómo se llama la programa? how would you say this?
Footsteps to Brilliance.
Be the same thing, Footsteps to Brilliance. Se puede bajar y el programa es completamente gratis. Lo pueden usar sus niños desde el kinder hasta ¿qué grado? ¿Hasta el tercer grado?
Sí, o cualquier persona, también los padres pueden usarlo.
So, pueden usar ese programa,
Ujú.
es completamente gratis para ayudarlos a
Ujú.
leer y su literatura va a incrementar.
Y pueden
bastante.
ir al sitio web de San Bernardino del distrito escolar y ahí pueden encontrar manera de cómo hacerlo. Hay videos para que puedan aprender cómo usarlo.
Okay, muchas gracias. Thank you. We just had to say that in Spanish, so that way people, parents who speak Spanish can know how to download the app as well. Thank you so much for the presentation. If we have no other board comments, we will go ahead and move to the next.
Thank you
subject.
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I love it.
All right,
Reading
great.
makes hope happen.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Is there a class? That's great. And we're moving to 5.0, public hearing. We will now conduct a public hearing on 5.1, which is district's initial contract proposal, reopener to California School Employees Association. Are there any blue slips? And before then, no?
No comments on this topic.
Okay, be it resolved that the Board of Education receives the district's initial contract proposal reopener to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 183. Can I have a motion? Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. This hearing is now closed. Moving to 6.0, administrative presentation, 6.1, facilities update, 2018. Dr. Morrison?
Thank you, Madam President. So yes, Board, we wanted to make sure you had an update on where are we now in terms of our facilities. So we have the team with a fantastic presentation for you to give an update for 2018. And then just for your information, you'll hear this later in the presentation as well, we'll be bringing you a comprehensive board facilities and master plan with education specifications by January. But I wanted you to know that we wanted to provide you at least this update now. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Christakos and Mr. Pace and team.
Good evening, Board. We're pleased to provide you with a facilities update. The Board has a track record of positioning the district well to provide outstanding facilities for our students. As you recall, you authorized the issuance of Series D and E last fall. This allowed the district to access $31 million to leverage a total of $69 million in Prop 51 state facility dollars. Additionally, we improved our credit rating with Moody's and Standard & Poor's, which resulted in lower interest rates, and ultimately additional dollars were available for projects. And I have some really good news to share. Our assessed valuation came in for the city of San Bernardino, and our AV is at 7.09% growth. We projected a 4% growth, so when we issue the next issuance, we will actually receive more construction dollars as long as this trend continues. So this is great news for our district. The current slide is a picture of our newest state-of-the-art performing arts theater located right here at Indian Springs High School. Many of you toured the theater prior to our last board meeting. This evening, we'd like to share with you an overview of facility accomplishments, provide you with a status of current projects, our future plans and goals, and next steps as we move forward with the next phase of providing 21st century facilities to our community. The district has completed nearly $1 billion in projects since 2005. This was accomplished under the leadership of John Poikert. Each dollar in local bond was matched with nearly $3 in other funds, primarily state facility dollars. We will continue to leverage local resources to maximize opportunities for increased funding. And you can see some of the facilities at the bottom of the picture, and also in your PowerPoint you have your notes at the bottom that tells you what the pictures are showing. And I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Pace.
Good evening, Board and Cabinet. I'm pleased to be here tonight representing the Facilities Department. Board, as you recall, since 2005, we have completed 256 projects. And while we won't spend much time talking about the past, it's worthy of mention for two reasons. First, it demonstrates our commitment to the creation of modern neighborhood schools like the ones depicted. And secondly, and more importantly, due to the additional classrooms that the new campuses have afforded, the district has been able to move away from the multi-track year-round educational calendar to that of a traditional educational calendar. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to spend some time reviewing our current state before transitioning into a discussion of where we are going. As you can see, we are currently working on and finishing construction on a handful of projects, including the Indian Springs Performing Arts Center, shown in the lower right-hand corner, as well as working on planning of several more projects, which will be discussed in greater detail later in the presentation. We'd like to highlight a few items worthy of mention. We are currently working on single-point entry improvements at 22 school sites. The picture is of Muscoy Elementary School, a recently completed single-point entry. Replacing aged and inadequate door hardware as necessary, and recently all district-owned sites were provided with a new visitor management system known as Raptor. Solar installations at 10 school sites will be complete this November, and we are excited about the prospects of the creation of clean energy in our community. This past January, the district, through the Department of Education, was awarded 2 separate facility grants for the improvement of 2 of our existing career pathways, one at Indian Springs and one at Pacific High School, for a total of $4.5 million. The state expects to fund these projects at the end of the year, and the concept shown above is the Indian Springs Career Pathway for Machining. This summer, we completed the replacement of the San Gregorio High School football field, and by the start of the next football season, all remaining high school fields will be complete. By way of congratulations, the San Gregorio High School football team won its inaugural game on the new field last Friday against Rubidoux by a score of 50-28, so I'm proud to say, go Spartans.
Yay. Go Spartans. Ms. Dion Clark-Kassir is the principal.
Nice.
What?
Additionally, this summer, in conjunction with our maintenance and operations partners, new carpet, paint, and furniture was provided to selected school site with the highest demonstrated need. We're excited because it's the first time that we're experimenting with sit-to-stand desks at elementary and middle school. And finally, the Construction Management Association of America awarded its highest achievement award for rehabilitation to the North Park Modernization Project. It is one of our industry's highest awards, and this project is an example of what is possible when local government partners with local business. The local builder, Caston Inc., provided the requested improvements in under 2 months, while only charging the district for its direct costs and utilizing only local business. The owner felt it important for the community to help in the rebuilding process, and he himself promoted out of North Park Elementary School as a child.
Wow, that's great. That's good.
I'm often asked how one goes about designing and building school facilities. That question can best be answered by saying that each project is broken into 3 phases. The first and most important phase begins with the evaluation of 2 types of need, the physical and the educational. We evaluate the physical condition of our facilities by having teams of engineers experienced in infrastructure evaluation conduct what is called a physical needs assessment. And secondly, we evaluate our educational need through collaboration with site administrators and other key district staff. Once these needs assessments are complete, we ensure that the data is in alignment with district educational practices and other district initiatives such as the Community Engagement Plan, VAPA Strategic Plan, and Athletic Strategic Plan. This insight sets the parameters or becomes the standard by which the project is designed. The second phase, or the design phase, works to take that analytical data derived from our needs assessment and plants it into a larger facility plan. Individual working designs are then created with the goal of creating inspirational, long-lasting spaces that will allow for creativity and introspection. You'll notice above a rendering from the San Andreas Growing Hope Project, which we recently completed the first phase this summer. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at that classroom, it's truly inspiring. Once an idea is born, it first has to be funded, which leads us to our last phase of the project life cycle, the delivery phase. As we evaluate the cost of each project, we expend great energy in maximizing our funding opportunities. And as you can see, we feel that moving forward, the district is well positioned to receive around $82 million in state funding. To help illustrate this point, I'd like to share an example of how this process works. The Indian Springs Performing Arts Center planning process began roughly 3.5 years ago, and the concept or idea for the theater was derived from a group of students, staff, and administrators. This group identified the need for an inspirational space, the need for light, color, a statement piece that would not only serve the school site, but that of the community. Based on this rough concept, we engaged one of the foremost experts in theatrical design and set him to work. Architect John Fisher started his design firm 40 years ago. After retiring from a successful teaching career at Cal Berkeley, John took this rough idea and created a concept around the creation of a lighthouse, or a beacon of hope, if you will. The Performing Arts Center would serve as a metaphorical safe harbor for our students, that they may find shelter and hope as they navigate their educational aspirations. Once the design concept was finalized, the building was ultimately built in about 18 months by some very talented contractors, many of whom are local, 13 in fact. Between now and 2027, we anticipate expenditures nearing $151 million, of which the state will contribute $69 million. Expenditures are expected to be paid utilizing local bond dollars, RDA funds, state contributions, and developer fees. Funds identified are considered restricted and cannot be used for salaries, textbooks, certain types of equipment, or funding of educational programs. Funds provided are for capital improvements only. Our planned expenditures do not constitute an encroachment on unrestricted general fund accounts. Our expenditures can be broken down into 4 main groups, of which I'd like to review with you now. At the elementary school level, we have 10 projects with state eligibility. These projects equate to an investment of around $31 million. You might be wondering what types of concepts are being considered for these projects, and so we have provided a design concept for your review. North Park Elementary School. Photos depict the current entrance at North Park compared to an updated office concept, which will provide updated counseling facilities and improved administrative spaces. Our next category are middle schools. We have 7 planned projects totaling $17 million. Martin Luther King Middle School is one of those projects. Photos show the existing condition of the 1950s era library compared to the concept of a modernized library, administrative space, and school entry. We believe that the planned improvements will provide an inviting, welcoming space for all who visit the school while providing proper homage to its namesake, Dr. Martin Luther King. At the high school level, we have identified 8 schools with state eligibility. Total projects will exceed $70 million, which the state will contribute more than $30 million in matching contributions. The illustrated project is of Pacific High School Auto Body Shop, which was constructed roughly 65 years ago, compared with a modern concept of the Diesel and Advanced Technology Center, which is being partially paid for from state CTE grants. The Diesel and Advanced Technology Center concept came about through a collaborative effort between educational services, the school site local advisory board, teachers, and administrators. The defined space will meet the educational and business requirements of an ever-changing technology for many years to come. Our final category depicts other building improvements, and it's important to know that the last item shown, the energy efficiency improvement projects, which will occur on 9 school sites, is being funded entirely through the State Energy Commission, and we are excited for these improvements because they are projected to save the general fund approximately $700,000 yearly in energy savings. 700,000, yes, ma'am. In summary, we continue to support the San Bernardino City Unified School District mission through the creation of safe, welcoming environments that will allow our students to learn in 21st century skills in 21st century learning environments.
And board, our next steps is, as we talked about earlier, we will finalize the master plan and the educational specifications, and we'll submit for your consideration by January. Additionally, with the state selling bonds at such a slow rate, we may be bringing a financing plan to you to leverage some of our future RDA dollars so that we can accomplish these projects sooner than later. And we'll keep you updated as we move through the process. I'd like to thank you for your continued support and Mr. Pace and his team for their hard work in preparing all of this work.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any board comments? Dr. Flores?
This is really exciting. Thank you so much. You know, when you have concrete things that are beautiful and that are, you know, our kids and our community can look to, it's what can you say? It's gorgeous. And that's where our children are, in our schools. And I'm really proud of you and of our district and our board and our cabinet, because we need to go forward and you know, support this. And like you say, Ms. Christakos, we can do a financing plan so that we can do it sooner than later instead of waiting for the money, because we know we're going to get it. So thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Dr. Hill?
Thank you so much for that great presentation. I'm just so glad we're looking at facilities, because our kids need to look good, and it's just something exciting when you have latest technology. I had a chance to go take a tour of Entrepreneur High School, and I'm looking, as I'm walking through, I'm saying, oh my gosh, we're going to lose every kid we have, because it's the state of the art, and we're still, as you said, back in the 50s and 60s, and I think in some of our buildings we're back in the 40s. So I'm just so glad that the vision, the insight there to provide our students and our families and our communities with the best of the best. Real impressed with the designs here. So please give congratulations to everybody who was involved on the design team. Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hill. Tom, thanks a lot, Janie. This was great, and it is exciting. And you know, there's a person we met, Dr. Bill Strickland, who's back, I think, in Philadelphia, and he's going around the nation, basically building facilities for low-income, kind of poor communities, et cetera. But they're building state-of-the-art, architecturally driven, just masterpieces in these communities, because the thought process is that you value people who you house in these facilities by how those facilities, what type of facilities you put them in. And you know, there's nothing more contrasting, I think, than the picture you had at King Middle School, and you know, the kind of challenging facilities versus, you know, the facilities that we know our kids deserve, and this community deserves, you know. And I think it really does communicate a message that we value our people, you know, no matter what their economic status is, no matter who they are, we're going to put them in the best facilities. So I thank you for this vision, and quite frankly, it sends a great message of hope to this community. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gallo. Thank you both for the presentation, as well as the district. And I just want to comment, how did you feel about the PowerPoint? I think it was really good how they were able to have the PowerPoint plus the information on the bottom, so that can probably already answer some of the questions we're having. So that's very helpful as well. So take note for the rest of the departments. This was really helpful. Thank you so much for that. I do want to just clarify with page 6, you mentioned single point entry, and for those that are probably seeing as it's basically school site safety improvements, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just to make sure that I clarified with that. And then going back to page 16, and the only reason I see that it's a beautiful building, Diesel and Advanced Technology Center, but I wanted to make sure, and this is just my personal opinion, is that we don't know diesel 20 years from now, 30 years from now, the name of it's really big on the wall. And so is there any way, like I said, this is just my opinion, with regarding just having advanced technology center and then having the diesel incorporated within, because what we don't want is having a certain type of product on the building and you don't know where it's going to be in 20, 30 years. So that's my only recommendation, but then again, take it. And then we also have Dr. Wyatt with a comment.
Well, thank you, Madam President, and again, Janie and Tom, great presentation. And I was really fortunate to be able to meet with facilities yesterday, and actually Tom and Joe for an extensive amount of time, and just talk about our mission and our vision and where we're going in this district. And you know, when you look at the infrastructure and what we're doing for our city, as well as being a leader in our city, you know, the design of our facilities, and as we've heard from many of our colleagues up here, the facilities that our students are going to be going to and our staff are going to be working in, they are going to be state-of-the-art. They are going to be cutting edge. We talked about conversations like cafe classrooms and tech design classrooms and what that looks like. And in order for us to move this city forward, somebody has to take the lead. And I say this often on DICE, I know many of us do, that this district is actually leading this city in the transformation of the economic development and stability of our city. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. I know my colleagues are as well. And it's the phenomenal staff that we have with such a vision and capacity to take us to the next level. And so it is an exciting time, really exciting time for us. I think it should be an exciting time for our students, our families who are going to benefit from such wonderful facilities and incredible instruction as well that's going to be happening with these facilities. And that starts with all the leadership that we have here today and the dedication of our staff. So amazing job. Can't wait to see all these facilities come to fruition and do the ribbon cuttings on them and see them happening, and our kids and our staff being able to, again, just be in state-of-the-art, fantastic facilities with tremendous ownership from them as well. So thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt. And then we have Mr. Tillman. No? Okay. Then Dr. Marsden.
Yeah, I also want to echo a thanks, and I know it's not a two-person show. You got a lot of your team here and supporters. Could you maybe just quickly introduce who's here as part of the facilities team so we can put a face behind the scenes of all the hard work?
So I think we have Adam Sinner here tonight with us, who is our supervisor of the plans room. Does a lot of planning for the school sites on the different work orders that are turned in. And we do have an amazing team, from our assistant director, Laura Brewer, who handles our financing, to Tim DeLand, who's responsible for the planning of all of our projects. We have Nellie Carboom, a facilities analyst who really is the driving force behind our department. She's worked for us for 17 years. Our AECOM support staff. We also have an architect with us here tonight who's primarily responsible for the vision of what you see in many of our designs. They're working on the master plan with Runo Clark. So we can't do the work that we do alone. We have teams of people who are dedicated to the improvement of the city, and we're very appreciative of their efforts, and we're appreciative of the board's support in our building program. It's meant a lot to us over the years. We really do have a dedicated staff that works hard at continual improvement, and we appreciate all the support, so thank you.
One person. Thank
Very
you
good.
so much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
And our architect back here as well. Yeah.
There's a
Very
few
good.
others. There you go.
There we go.
There
All right.
they came up.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you so
job.
much.
Well done.
And then I also want to, Mr. Tillman has a couple of questions, or if not, a comment.
Sure. And thanks again for the presentation, great presentation. This has been doing a lot of good work for a long time in facilities, and I'm proud when I drive throughout the district, see all the new buildings that we have to service our students. I also want to thank the homeowners and renters, because they all pay property taxes, either directly or indirectly. And over the years, they approve bonds. A lot of districts, they go out for bonds and the citizens don't approve it. We've been fortunate in our district for the community to support us and pass the bonds, and now we pay for it on our tax bills. And if you look on your tax bills, you'll see a line item under special assessments for the bond repayment for the school bonds that we issue. So I don't want to lose sight of the fact that people are actually spending their hard-earned money to invest. And that's why I think it's important that we make sure that we are responsible in the way that we spend the money and invest it in the way that they expect it to invest it. And I think you're all doing that right now, so I appreciate the work you're doing. And to Madam President, the issue about diesel, I looked that up when we first talked about the diesel and thinking that the electric vehicle will replace it immediately. But the studies say that it's going to be some time before the diesel trucks are replaced by electric trucks. So, you know, I think it'll probably be about right, because by the time I come back in 25 years and visit Pacific and tell them, they'll say, "You're the old man that was here when we're still doing diesel." I'll be able to tell them, "Yeah, I was one of those old people."
Yeah,
so
there
it'll
you go.
fit just right. So.
The only thing is that with, you never know, like in 20, like you mentioned, 20, 25 years from now, what is it going to look like? And when you have it, literally, it's like big diesel across the building. And I
It's
just
going to
was,
look like King looks right now. That to build a new building.
yeah, no, but
We
King
hope
has a
not.
great name on it. I'm just thinking that this one just, we don't know what the future holds. But
Thank
that was
you.
just my suggestion. Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to the board. I know it's difficult sometimes with certain presentations to hold your comments till the end. I just want to say thank you for doing that in this presentation. And I'll do my best to try to, when there's certain subjects that I will cut in, so that if you do have questions, that will make the process a lot easier. So thank you so much, all of you. Thank you. So now we're heading to 8.0, reports and comments. 8.1, report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. Good evening.
Good evening, President Medina, Vice President Rogers, esteemed members of the board, Superintendent and Cabinet.
Good evening.
I'm Ashley Betis Alcala, President of the San Bernardino Teachers Association. Welcome back to the new school year. I just have a couple comments that I wanted to make about the previous presentation we had on Footsteps to Brilliance. We know that the research says that the most important indicator of student achievement is interaction between a teacher and their students. So I just want to just share some concern around hijacking instructional minutes to 30 to 45 minutes on applications on devices for our youngest clients. And I don't believe that we have hard and fast data that shows that it really does increase the reading scores. We've been working really hard with Ed Services over the last 3 years to improve our literacy plan that we're just rolling out right now with our K-2 teachers, trying to get them all trained. I think this is a great opportunity for our community to have access for their families, because we know that they need it. I would just caution us in moving forward too quickly on dictating what instructional minutes should be used for, when we've been working in partnership with the district to try to make sure that our teachers have the resources that they need and are able to make decisions and have autonomy in their classrooms around the instruction of our youngest clients, kindergarten through 2nd and 3rd grade. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I have a question or comment with regarding that. Is there a possibility where at the school sites, maybe the students are downloading it? I'm not sure if they have any computers. I know there's a Chromebooks and so forth. Is there something where, even though it's not part of the instruction, but students are able to access it through teacher recommendations?
It depends on the site and what access to technology they have.
Okay.
If students are staying after school for CAPS or before for Sunrise, they should have access to devices where they can download and use those as enrichment to the daily instruction that they're already getting. But it really depends on the site. Some of our sites have a lot of access to individual devices, and they're one-to-one for the entire school site. Some are still working on getting those devices.
Okay.
It just depends.
All right, thank you. I just wanted, and Dr. Flores?
Would you be amenable to going and asking the teachers in Rialto, how much time and what they did and what they decided?
We can always explore what
Right.
is going on out there. I've just heard
Right.
some comments that are not as positive about the
Okay.
program. So
But
I just want us to be cautious.
I would
as
like
we
you to be
roll things
open to just seeing possibilities. And I mean, I know that instructional time is very, very sacred, but I think like what Madam President said, what President Medina said, of just showing parents and kids how to download and having access, I think it would be great, because they can go home and use it, or after school, like you say, or sunrise.
Yeah, and we have no objection to showing families and having them have
right.
access to it. It just as Dr. Hill said.
Right.
We just want to make sure that our,
Right.
if we're rolling it out in
Yeah.
schools during the
Right.
instructional time, that
Right.
we're being cautious with how we do
Right.
that. Because there is a large component of professional
Right.
development that the company asks
Right.
to be completed, and we're already having some challenges with getting everybody trained with our current literacy
Okay.
plan.
So I just ask you to be open. Yeah,
Sure,
thank
we'll
you.
be.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you so much.
And happy birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños. Okay. 8.2, report by California School Employees Association. Okay.
No report.
8.3, report by Communication Workers of America. Welcome.
Good evening and welcome.
And good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And congratulations on your facilities and the Footsteps to Brilliance. Also, do keep in mind the teachers' plans. That does sound like an excellent idea to keep that in mind.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. That's true. We should help our guest teachers also learn how to,
Wonderful.
So that would be good too.
to help
I mean, just
them.
in terms of the teachers and whatever
Especially if
they
they're in
have
the
to have that day.
classrooms, right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Sorry about
comments.
the- Okay. 8.4, report by San Bernardino School Police Officers Association.
No report.
8.5, comments by board members, and I'll go ahead and start from Mr. Tillman, and we'll move to the other side.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of attending I guess it was a Safe Routes presentation we did.
Yes.
And the route I was on wasn't that safe.
Oh.
But I will say that no, but there were a lot of obstacles there. And when you walk during that time of the day and you see those things, I mean, it really does open your eyes. So I think the whole concept of identifying routes to schools, and I think posting what time the walking will take place, and then involving school staff and security just to have a presence is a big deal. I mean, the city police was involved also, but I think just for historic purposes, we should always remind ourselves that the reason why the school police was created was to help augment some of the things that the city police were supposed to do for us. So we knew that the school police were going to do the type of things that the city police does. And I think this is a perfect example. If we have right now 3 routes or maybe 6 routes, I think it'd be great that we know where the routes are, and if school police in the area, that they can drive through those streets at the time. I really think we should, I know we have talked to the city, and the city's come out and picked up debris, but if the city is not as responsive as we think they should be, then we can contract with some companies to ensure that those streets, those sidewalks are cleared. I mean, when I walked out there were a bunch of tires and, and debris still out there. So I think it behooves us to, if we have a finite set of streets that we are deeming these routes, that the district take responsibility for them and make sure that if we're going to say that the routes are safe, that they actually are. I think we're partnering with Quality of Life and some other folks to help clean up and do the routes. I think it's a great concept, but what I don't want to do is I would hate for us to declare a route, but we don't ensure that route is safe. It should be some resources associated with declaring a route. I heard that we want buy-in from the community. I agree with that. But if the district is going to take the responsibility to tell parents that we deem this a safe route, then we need to invest the resources to ensure that it is. And I think, we did the safe routes to school, but I think it's just important the routes back home. And I grew up in San Bernardino, so I know some of the scariest time when you had to go home after a practice and you were out there by yourself. So it's when you have to go home too, that's the big deal. And I was thinking, you know, there were a couple of houses we had to wait for the parents to come out with the kids, and the kids didn't want to go by themselves. So we probably should have some type of system, whether it was school police or somebody that can come by 15, 20 minutes late than when the big crowd is coming through for the kids who are coming a little bit later, just to ensure that, you know, there's some safety there.
Right.
But, you know, until I did the walk, I just have forgot about all the huge dogs out there, and you know, so we really do need to do some things to make things safer for the kids on the route. So we're looking to hear from the superintendent on what we're doing in terms of identifying the routes, and then the investment we're going to make to try to do the best we can to make them safer than what they are right now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. That was great. Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you. We're on, what, the third week of school? And I'll tell you, I have not heard much chatter about real issues going on this year. You know, I've heard a few kinds of things, some classroom stuff and everything, but very few compared to, you know, in previous years. So I want to commend the gang for, you know, it looks like a pretty smooth start for school. And I know it's always rough. You can never predict what, you know, how many students you're going to get, what classrooms they're going to go in, and, you know, the various in and out transient nature of just the students we deal with is unpredictable. And so I think we guessed right or we're getting this down. So
People are afraid to talk to you.
well, maybe that could be it too, Danny.
That could be
I
it.
mean, but I've heard a few things. I've heard a few things, but nothing, you know, too traumatic. Let's put it that way. But you're probably right. But it's really good. I'm hoping that's indicative and not that they don't want to talk to me. So. Thanks, you guys.
They don't want to talk to you. Okay, and I will pick up because I wanted to acknowledge too. I think the Safe Routes activity went well. For those of you that did know, however, the school police committed at the end of the year when we were discussing, it was actually, Danny, Safe Routes where we were there on their way home. The one that we launched at Bradley was because of the bullying and things that was happening. And so when we got with Chief Polino and staff, we got with the city and said, in your efforts of Safe Routes, then the sidewalks that are up and you can trip over and those type of things, we kind of told them that was in their hands. But on the other end, I know the chief has been working with establishing, like you said, an actual route, because Waterman is by far the worst when it comes to danger. And that included also the neighbors and those that want to identify as safe homes and going through that process as well. So this was good. And then this launch coming to school kind of brought everything back together. And I know we were at different locations, but we did have, you know, school police over at our end as well, and a lot of community members. So that was great, which leads into my comment for tonight was I wanted to find out from the district, at what point in time did we establish, I think it was like the 3-mile rule to be on the bus? And how old is that policy? And is there something, can we look at that again and see, is it still prevalent? Do we need to change it up? I remember I didn't discover it until it was time for my kids to go to school. And of course, it made sense. I thought, oh, well, they're gonna go to this school. But no, it was measured from the front end of my house to the gate of the school or something like that. But I know, even going back to why some things that Bradley did to get most of the kids in the CAPS program, I mean, she hardly has anyone walking now because she made a concerted effort as we was working on that project to get most of them safe so they can get picked up. So it brought up to mind when we were doing the Safe Routes walks the other week, we need to, maybe can we look at that and revisit that and see, do we need to change it? How many people do we have so close? Because if we get them on the buses, that also contributes to the Safe Routes home and the Safe Routes to school. They don't have to walk. So
It's not 3 miles for everyone. It's
I don't.
3 miles for the high school.
Oh, okay.
It's a shorter distance for middle school and elementary.
And I would say just revisit it all. I don't know what those are, and I don't know how old they are, but it may be able to pick up some more students, because I know not long ago, but I do know that there were times when you didn't see very many kids on the bus, kind of like our SBX that we have running up and down. I mean, is it, you know, can we revisit that to see and know, and do people know that? I think there's some other portion of it that if the bus is empty,
The
and,
empty
other
seat
students
policy.
can get, yeah, so just if we can look at that again, if it's really, really old, let's revisit it to see if we can add some more students to help them be able to get on the bus that weren't before able to. That's it.
All right, Ms. Rogers, thank you. And if we can, we could add that to the agenda, or to one of the items that we want to look at, because that's important. And I'll just go in quickly because I'm not going to say very much, is also finding out, touching upon the Safe Routes to School. Are we connecting to make sure that we're looking at within Megan's Law, to make sure as we're walking by certain homes, that, like how you mentioned, certain students might straggle behind, and then we want to make sure the safety regarding that as well. Is that part of where they're looking at it, just to make sure that they're looking at that?
But Ms. Medina, President, if you look at the search for Megan Law in San Bernardino, there is no hope. I mean, there's red dots everywhere. So that's it. I mean, it actually just gives more urgency to make sure we ensure we have these safe routes.
Okay.
And what makes the route safe are people that we know have been cleared and are good for kids being present in those routes. That's what the key is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll present you some more information on that. We've looked at things even in Australia. There's a walking school bus, for example, program where you have adults that regularly are on that path with kids. So we'll look at some things and
Okay,
bring
great.
you some ideas.
All right, thank you. And then Dr. Hill?
Thank you. And the one thing I want to share tonight, August the 10th, and I don't think I shared this, I went to a scholar night in Claremont on Give Back. And Give Back is a program for students of foster youth, homeless youth, and children of incarcerated parents. And there's about $3 million set aside, a mentoring program, and they prefer getting these students when they're in the 7th grade. And that way they can mentor them when they get to high school to make sure they're taking all the classes, the right classes to fulfill the A through G requirement. And right now they have a relationship with Cal State San Bernardino, University of Laverne, and Chapman College. And what happens for 4 years, these students get everything paid for: room and board, books, tuition, and they have tutors and mentors even in college. They want to do this because they're saying, we don't want them to show up at college and think it's a neat place to be. They have 4 years to get in and get out. And so they had some of the students telling their story. One young lady, both of her parents are incarcerated, and she's a student at University of Laverne. We have 2 students at Cal State. One spoke, talked about his relationship coming out of an area where a lot of drugs and gangs. Mom was a drug addict. And then we had one young lady to speak who's going to Chapman College. And in her situation, parents showed up to pick up from school one day, and everything they owned was stuffed in the back of the car because they had been evicted. So these are the students who are making a difference in changing their lifestyle and hopefully, breaking that chain. But it was a wonderful, very touching program, and the gentleman who was involved in this program was here as well, Mr. Barr. And I just want to publicly give credit to the District Attorney's Office, Mary Ashley, who overheard a conversation that they were coming to Los Angeles, and she said, wait a minute. In San Bernardino, we had a terrorist attack, and we just came out of bankruptcy. Who would need help more than our students? And this is the first, our area is the first, San Bernardino Riverside County is the first area for them to serve in the state of California. They're in 7 states, but we are the first one. Very impressive. So for those of you out there, if you know these students, if you let me know, I can get them to the right person. Dr. Young out of Loma Linda oversees the program, and absolutely wonderful. And for each student who was there, they gave them something I never even heard of. It's called Desk in a Box. And it was this, I didn't know what was in there, but the kids were excited and happy to get it. So just want you to know there are a lot of people out there pulling for our kids, knowing there's a lot of opportunities, and working together, we can break that prison mentality with these kids and these families. And when I congratulated Mr. Barr for what he was doing, he shared, I need to get to San Bernardino because I think we can do more than what we're doing. So expect to hear from him. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Flores?
Thank you, Madam President. I have 4 things. I got an email today, and it's directed to all of us, the board and cabinet, from Carolina Sataray, who is the curator of education for San Bernardino County Museum. And she is inviting all of our teachers to Educator Night on September 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. And I'll forward this to you, Dr. Marsden. And it's free. And says teachers attending the museum will be able to visit our galleries, listen to one of our CART talks, lead by our Curiosity Catalyst, book their reservations, and learn more about our educational loan program. We want educators to know that we are a resource for the county, and we want to hear your district's input. So she would like us to disseminate that invitation to all of our teachers. And, you know, it's just real close by. I think that we need to make that available. So I'll forward this to you, Dr. Marsden. And I don't know who you'll give it to, but whoever disseminates it to our teachers and principals. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'd like to thank Ginger Ontiveros for providing the board correspondence on the community schools grant. That was really, really insightful, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Also would like to say that Dr. Wyatt and I met with facilities and also enrollment, Mr. Leonard Buckner, yesterday, and we reviewed one public use of facilities update for board policy, and then we have to go back because we asked questions, and he had 3 admission and enrollment updates for us. So I had several questions, so he's going to go back and get questions and bring it back. We'll meet again. And then I would like to request, Dr. Marsden, because kids, I'm close to a lot of the high school kids, and they want to beautify, like we talked about our facilities today, so that they become theirs. The kids want to beautify their campuses with murals. So I went on Gamut, and our mural, I didn't write down the number, but our mural policy is from 2006. So I think we need to update it in terms of, you know, reviewing it so that we can facilitate, you know, how they can go through and the procedures for putting murals on their buildings. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Dr. Wyatt?
Okay, thank you, Madam President. And just want to echo what a number of my colleagues have said up here. It's great to see our Safe Routes to School program actually kicking off. And I want to compliment Mr. Tillman for being out there on the streets as well and giving us a true testimony of what's really our kids are facing on a daily basis. And I know this as well because, you know, I work right here off of 6th Street, and I get up on 5th Street, and I have to go by Fred Jones Elementary every day. And I see what our families walk by, and I'm glad that's one of our schools that we have, you know, targeted as one of our first schools to create safe routes around because they desperately need it over there. So thank you again to our school police and our staff and our superintendent who was out there as well. I know our next Safe Routes to School Day is August 27th. For those of you that can participate, I know I haven't been able to make the first 2 dates, but August 27th I can, so I'm looking forward. I'm trying to flip the coin and say which school am I going to go to. Probably Fred Jones because it's right by my office. I could go straight after work. But Riley, don't think I don't want to go to yours either. But that's been together with work. How's that? That's all work, Dr. Hill. All right, 7:30. Yes, ma'am. Punctually. And I've been talking about Fred Jones for quite some time anyway, so I'm glad that we're targeting that school. You know, an executive cabinet. You know, we don't say it often, but thank you for the BCs that you guys give us for our board meetings, because sometimes there are quite a few. You know, I was looking, oh, gosh darn, we ask you for a lot in a very short period of time. So just a couple I wanted to point out. Dr. Morales, thank you for the BC on our Community Advisory Committee. As I found out, today was our first day of our CAT getting together. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, that's a Community Advisory Committee focuses on students with special needs and bringing our community together and addressing issues, concerns, best practices for our students with special needs and how we could even do a better job. So today was our kickoff, and she showed me a few pictures, and we had a tremendous turnout right here at Indian Springs. So great job to everybody involved in that. And we have 6 more additional dates coming up throughout the year. So for those of you that are involved with our students with special needs programs, please come to our Community Advisory Committee meetings. I know I want to be present at a number of these. We have different venues, and I don't see the times on there, but I imagine we could get those out there for our folks on the website, it sounds like. Okay, on the special ed section on our website. So if you're interested in that, please take a look. Also to BC from Chief Polino on our positive citations that we've been giving out. And I know we talked a little bit about this last board meeting on citations going down and positive ticket program really taking off. And I was looking at our numbers, and when we initiated this program in 2016, we had given out approximately 400 positive, not know if we use the word tickets, but just positive experiences or positive contacts with our school police officers, and went from 400 to 900 the next year, which was an increase obviously of 225%, and then up to almost 1,500 or 1,500 plus this past year. So we went from 400 to 1,500 positive experiences with our peace officers, and that is truly the essence of community policing. So again, really just kind of flipping the narrative and the experience with our law enforcement officers about how we are positive individuals in our community. We are that hedge of protection out there, but also there to lead our students and guide our students and mentor them as well. So great job there. And then I did have a nice lunch meeting today with Pastor Christopher Reinhardt, who is the head pastor over at Sandals Church, and just a number of great things that they've been doing for our city and our district. And he said, what more can we do for our city and our school district? And actually, I brought up Safe Routes to Schools. They want to be able to provide volunteers for different events. I said, well, you couldn't have had better timing. Matter of fact, I didn't have the date when I met with them, so I'm going to have to contact them again and say, here's your opportunity, August 27th. I expect to see quite a few folks from the church there. So just a wonderful meeting. And again, the partnerships, collaborations that we're looking for in our city, again, to build that community up together and to hopefully rebuild this city into a great American city again. And he really did talk a lot about National Night Out. I know we had, I think, at least one school, maybe more, that celebrated that. And unfortunately for us, we had a board meeting that night. But how we could better partner together to make that a huge event in our city, bringing everybody together and impact that stadium with our students, with our families, and our community. And I had a number of ideas how we can partner up as a district with the city, with the community, with our faith-based entities, and make that a huge event. But looking forward to doing things like that with our city. So thanks again.
All right, thank you. Yes, and Mr. Tillman, you had a question?
Yeah, no, not a question, but I know that with the safe routes, I just want to make sure we give everybody credit. A lot of people in student services were working on that, and I know I got invited by Mickey Chahusky, but who else was the lead on the whole safe routes? There was a lady on the bus, I don't know her name, but I could tell she was the one organizing it. Do you know who it is? From student services?
There were so many people from the team who participated. I'm not sure who you were referring to, but I will find out and make sure that the whole team knows.
And maybe
that
we can
you
have
guys
them come down and get recognized, all the folks who helped lead it.
That would be.
Yeah.
Was she one of them?
I think you might have been, he's talking about Brenda Chow.
Is that who? Okay, there you go. Right. So we should make sure you get them down here and recognize them.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I do want to add really quickly, only because you mentioned Dr. Wyatt, the CAC. Is there an additional plug that we can add to make sure parents are able to see that? I don't know if you're able to see it in Spanish, Doctora Monares.
are you referring to on the
For
website?
For the parents, how do they access that?
I believe our website translates into the Google, you could translate into
Okay,
Google
they do.
Spanish. So you go into the special ed tab, and then on there it says parent resources. And
I was
when
just
you-
hoping you would say it in Spanish, but that's
Oh,
okay.
¿quiere decir en español? Ok, so, tengo que practicar. Tiene que entrar al website la de Educación Especial y luego busca donde dice recursos de padres y va a tener todos las juntas que vamos a tener para los padres que tienen niños en educación especial. Pero también padres pueden ir que no tienen niños para nada más en este programa de aprender.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to put that little plug in. I think these are opportunities since a lot of people are watching it live. And then if we can, as it's put out there as a recording, add little links to it, because you can in YouTube add little links so that way parents can directly follow them without having to look for it. So, all right, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move to 8.6, comments and by superintendent and staff members.
Thank you, Madam President. So, yeah, as you heard, I too, joined by Riley Bear and Hope Dog, our district's mascot, one on the Safe Routes to School walk. I do want to thank Dr. Moneras and Ginger Ontiveros and now Lorraine Perez for their leadership under health, wellness, and safety. They're the ones who took, really board your direction and put it into superior action that will lead to the results that you're looking for. So I'm extremely confident in their work. By your dais, you have a copy of a packet called Generation Go. Remember, this is the work the county is leading on the internships in the county of San Bernardino with San Bernardino City Unified and ultimately with the entire county. Wanted you to see this so you can get an up-close and personal view of how in-depth and detailed is this work and very committed to it. I was invited by Gary McBride, our county CEO, to present to his leadership team on, they've been watching city schools and seeing that we've built a culture of excellence, and they wanted me to talk about that. It was my pleasure to speak highly of this board, its cabinet, and the team, and the work that we've done to get to the point we had. They shared Generation Go. All of the department leaders were very excited to take this work on, and so I was pleased to be there and wanted to mention that to you. Also want to congratulate Jaden Daniels from Cajon High School, who's featured in a recent edition of the Inland Empire Varsity, a preview of the 2018 high school football. He had a great season, and we wish Jaden an even better season and better school year this year. I want to highlight a couple of district donations. The Dominguez family donating $39,000 to sponsor the Arts in Classroom program at Dominguez Elementary School. We want to thank them. We want to thank the California Emerging Technology Fund for their support of our School to Home program, and one implementation initiative at Arrowview, Curtis, Del Vallejo, Golden Valley, and Serrano Middle Schools. Also want to thank Feed the Children for providing books and food boxes to support students and families at Emerton Elementary. Also, board want to invite you, if you're available, for you to tour with some of our partners from National Corps who've extended opportunity to tour the Arrowhead Grove community on Monday, August 27th at 8:30 a.m. If you'd like to participate, please follow Karen. Please follow up with Karen by this Thursday at 4 p.m. And then, board, we will host our community cabinet coming up here on the Wednesday, August 29th from 1:30 to 3:30. If you'd like to participate, please let Karen know. This is, again, where we talk about not only the things around facilities that you just heard and get community input, but our budget, our LCAP. This is a time that we have community leaders, and so your presence there is always appreciated. This will be held at the PDC. And then, board, I would like, you saw the great presentation tonight by our facilities team, and as we build the comprehensive master's facilities plan, we would like to have 3 volunteers from the board to participate in meetings for in October, November, or December, or January. There won't be a lot of meetings, probably about maybe 3 or 4. If you're interested in that, we'd love to have some volunteers. Anybody have an interest in that piece? Mr. Gallo, Dr. Wyatt, any president or vice president? It's for the facilities master plan and educational specifications, Madam President?
I
or?
could, but I don't know if Ms. Rogers. Yeah, and Ms. Rogers an alternate.
Okay, so Ms. Medina and Ms. Rogers as an alternate. Thank you so much. And then finally, board, I have a request. If you would consider moving the March board meeting date to accommodate for the Link Learning Conference. As you know, Ann Stanton, who was formerly with the Irvine Foundation, now the CEO of Link Learning Alliance, came and made a visit here, even to this own school. She's very impressed, so much so she made us the center topic of her recent writing in her blog about Link Learning California champions us as a leading district in this work. She wants us to showcase our work from Bing Wong, from Norton Elementary School, Bing Wong, Curtis, Indian Springs. Garner Holt has agreed also to be part of this and has agreed also to be a speaker, and very much looks forward to supporting the work that we're doing here. So I'd request that you'd move it from March 19th to March 12th, so you'd have 2 board meetings in a row. Is that something the board would be able to accommodate? That would allow some of you to attend as well. It'll be in Palm Springs. We really would like to see the board support in being attendance as well if possible.
Okay, I don't see any issues, but can we go down the
Are
line?
we talking about switching the date?
The date, yes.
So the date's gonna be what?
It'd be March 12th instead of the 19th.
That's fine.
Have consensus? Thank you. Dr. Wyatt, going to work for you, and Ms. Rogers? Think so? Okay. Doing like, okay. So unless we hear otherwise, we'll go forward with that. Okay, thank you so much. Then it'll be the 19th through the 21st in Palm Springs. We'll get that information to you. Thank you, board. Those are all my comments.
And then Mr. Gallo had
Yeah, I
an
wanted to
additional comment.
mention one more thing about Ann Stanton and that visit. Gary McBride, the CEO of the county, also spent the entire day with us. I have never had a CEO of the county spend an entire day on anything. And he was
completely engaged. I never saw him once on his phone or step
Right.
aside for any conversation. And you know, he's an alumni from San Bernardino City. He used to be a San G grad, so he's been to a number of our schools, very invested. Mr. Gary McBride.
And he's the current CEO? you
He's the
said?
current CEO of the county. Yeah.
Okay.
And he
And,
spoke
uh,
very highly of Mr. Tillman. Has known him for a long
Oh,
time.
nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe we can
Yeah,
have
it was, and I'll tell you, we showcased, basically a lot of career pathways, including our latest one, the San Andreas folks too. And he was taken, as well as Ann, was very impressed with the entire effort and gang,
Yeah.
and that it's been systematically and systemically integrated into our approach.
His wife is also a teacher, and she's wondering how she can do some of the things that we're doing. So.
Oh, wow, great.
And I got to say to Dr. Martin, it was a good feeling for my boss at the county to come to me and say she heard about the program, and they're going to do it. We're going to do an internship. So
Oh,
one of the
great.
interns actually
Fantastic.
worked for us and work in my office.
That's great.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Great.
It's going to be good.
That's wonderful.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your updates. I'm going to go ahead and move to 9.0, consent calendar. Do we have any items to pull, or should we do the vote first and then have items to pull? Any discussion, any items to pull?
So I'll recommend we pull item 9.20 so Mr. Gallo can recuse himself.
Okay.
And I just would like to pull, for clarification, 9.23 and 9.26.
Okay. Any others? Going once, going twice? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. So we're going to go ahead and go to 9.2. I'm sorry,
9.20.
I'm sorry, 9.20. Let me go there.
So moved.
It's just an additional cost, right? Dr. Marston?
Yes, and you received a board correspondence on this as well.
Right, but I'm just clarifying. It's just an additional amount.
Yeah, so Dr. Mitchell? Dr. Flores had a question.
9.20?
20? Okay.
Yeah, she's
I was
asking if it's an
asking-
additional cost.
We've already paid the $304,000. and
Yeah, so this
just-
is an amendment, this is an increase, let's see, of $1,600.
$1,600, okay. I just want to clarify.
Okay, and I did not read, so it's ratification of amendment number 1 to the agreement with Technical Employment Training, Inc., San Bernardino, California, to provide advanced manufacturing STEM pathway to district school sites. So then, can I have a motion?
I move
Move in second.
Yeah, you have a motion by Mr. Tillman, seconded by Scott Wyatt.
Okay, and then any further discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. So let's go ahead and go to
We
9.
call Mr. Gallo back in first, if that's okay.
9.23. 9.23, ratification of the software license agreement with Apex Learning, Inc., Seattle, Washington, to provide tutorial subscriptions licenses. Dr. Flores, you have a
Yes.
question?
Do you want a motion and a second first, I think?
Oh, yes.
Is that, okay.
Okay,
Is
now
that the way we do
discussion.
it? Oh.
Yes, that's how you do it.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Well, I just wanted to know, I thought Apex, I just want a point of clarification, was for high school kids, and it's mostly for middle school kids. Dr. Marsden?
Yeah, Dr. Mitchell can speak to that.
No, Apex is a credit recovery program dedicated for high school students. It's our A to G version. There may be some eighth graders using it as well. So we have A+ and we have Apex. A+ is more of a credit recovery. Apex is a A to G approved credit recovery program.
I do know that. I know that for a fact, but why are middle school kids doing credit
There are
recovery as well?
opportunities- Not credit recovery, but acceleration.
Wow, okay.
But acceleration? What does that mean?
Meaning they're taking courses, high school courses early.
Oh, they're taking high school courses
Yes.
in 8th grade? Oh,
Apex.
That's great.
Oh, okay.
There's coursework, there's a whole host of coursework on Apex that Apex offers.
Okay.
Great. Is this on Saturday schools or after school?
I can
or-
get that information.
You
It's
don't know?
online, so it's.
It's online, so when they can do it anytime. Okay. Thank you.
And then I also want to add to that, how are students able to access that? So if as a student, is there any, for middle school students specifically, how are they able to access that?
So
Is it-
we have a subscription for, we have a number of subscriptions per school, and school kids access it at school. It's overseen by a certificated teacher.
I guess I meant, how do the students know about it? How, is it by teacher recommendation? Is it
Teachers and counselors.
teacher and
They're
counselors?
looking at their grad progress.
Okay.
If they're falling behind in some coursework. There are also opportunities, again, for kids to accelerate. There may be courses that they're not able to take that they can take on A+ or
Okay.
Apex.
Apex, okay, great.
Sure, thanks.
All right, thank you. And I imagine that would be a benefit for students who are in band and cannot take additional classes.
Yeah,
in that, or
that's another
sports or
benefit. So
something.
a 0 period, 7 period, 8 period, that
Yeah,
kind of
that way
stuff.
in high school, they can free up that. Yes,
Well,
and
it's
yes.
online, so they can even
Yes.
do it at
Mhm.
home.
And
Yes.
Madam President, and I guess it's not agenda, I mean,
What?
it is agendized because this part is item. We
Yes.
talked a lot about these type of systems. I'm assuming we're still going forward with our Chromebooks and rolling them out and
So they can
advertising to
access it,
parents,
mhm.
make sure they know they can get them, because we have new students coming online.
Right.
We are doing that. We have money for more Chromebooks. Great, okay.
Yes, and so we have another allocation in the LCAP for Chromebooks.
Perfect.
As we've had 3.5 million for the past 6 years.
Perfect.
Yep. It's ongoing.
Side note.
Have
maybe-
we approved that yet?
It's every year, it's on,
It's every year.
rollover.
It's a rollover?
Yeah. I would
But we
like,
don't approve it every year?
no, it was in the budget.
It was in the LCAP budget.
Yeah, it was in the
It's
LCAP.
been-
It
The
was in
board
the
has
budget.
asked that there be an ongoing cost, and so
Yeah.
that's one we build in every year.
And then I would suggest they have that a Lenovo 500E it's called, but it's a device you can fold over, so they call it like a dual
Tablet,
device.
yeah.
So it can be a keyboard, but also a tablet, and it has a stencil. And I understand that's
Yeah.
probably good for kids like K through second grade, but it's a real nice device. Just want to look at it.
I'd like to see that item that we passed that says it's ongoing.
We
For the
put it in the budget.
Chromebooks, for the Chromebooks.
Yeah, we
didn't approve it on that. No, but I'd like to see it, I'd like to see that item, because usually we approve every item.
We'd be happy to bring that item to you.
Right.
as a
All right,
budget.
and then
Yeah.
Ms.
I
Rogers
just
has
had
a
a question on
question.
that. What's the early, do all grades get a Chromebook? Every grade?
Mm-mm.
What's the earliest grade that gets a Chromebook?
They started out with third grade, but I've heard of kids in earlier grades
Or-
getting them.
So is it,
If they request them, they give them to them.
if they request it, they get, I had that question earlier, and I'm sorry, I forgot.
And I
being
think
that
we really
can
need to change
discuss-
it because if we're ever going to really get
Right.
full blown on this footsteps to brilliance.
And that's why I wanted to
You gotta
ask,
get a
can we
device.
download the Footsteps to Brilliant
Okay, and
if
we're-
it's earlier?
and
You're
we're
gonna
mov-
ask that?
Yeah, so
Answer
we're-
us, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, it's based on the request, so
Okay.
any grade level based on the request.
Perfect.
And then
Parents can request it, any grade level?
Yes,
Okay.
for the take-home Chromebooks, and then the
Okay.
district has the one-to-one implementations going on as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
great
I-
suggestion, Board, and I
yeah.
know we're moving off topic, but this is definitely.
Because
a
he brought up,
direction.
so I thought that was that's the only reason why, because I had forgot earlier.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
on
it is
this,
on
this session.
a-
But
no, I-
we'll talk, if you can just capture that, who's ever capturing, because my curiosity was to be able to say, how can we partner that with,
Right.
with the
Just add it to
Footsteps
the
to
computer.
Brilliance,
All right.
yes.
All right, thank you. So then do we have a motion?
Yeah, we did already.
Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 9.26, and let me go ahead and read it. Renewal of the agreement with Voyager Sopris Learning, Inc., Dallas, Texas, to provide Step Up to Writing Trainer of Trainers professional development.
So I just wanted to appoint a clarification.
Okay, let me go ahead first
Oh,
before,
I'm sorry.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
Now the discussion. Go
Okay,
ahead, Dr. Flores.
so I just wanted a point of clarification. Is this for a specific school, or is it for just, it says 38 teachers.
Yeah.
So some of our schools are implementing Step Up to Writing, and so this is district level support to support those trainings, coaching. It also provides a virtual coach, extensive content on various topics to teachers.
But what schools? I mean, where are these teachers?
It's a-
Are they in our TSSP schools? Are they, you know, and the only reason I'm asking is because, you know, my expertise is in writing and literacy. And this is a very low-level program. It's a very basic, and it's not challenging. And it's just, I mean, I know that Get Ahead to Writing looks at opinions, looks at narrative writing, looks at different genre writing. Step Up to Writing is just, how do you write a paragraph? I mean, it's like real basic, you know, I don't know, and I'm just questioning, we're paying $80,000. I don't know. Do we not have coaches that could share that? Or
How is it
teachers?
recommended?
So it's
Yeah.
a trainer of trainer models. We have one teacher representative from each elementary
Yeah,
school.
I know, so those are just my comments.
And
so.
how is it recommended to the district to use this program?
We've had several schools using it for several years. It's a research-based, evidence-based program.
Okay.
Our schools principals are recommending participation, so we're supporting site-based professional learning through providing.
And they've chosen it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we have the votes, and let's go ahead and call. Yeah, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have one nay by Dr. Flores.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. 10.0, which is action items, 10.1, personnel report number 4, dated August 21st, 2018. Dr. Wiseman?
As presented.
Okay, be it resolved of the board that the personnel report number 4, dated August 21st, 2018, be approved as presented. Can I have a motion? A second? Is there a second? Second. Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 10.2, ongoing board initiatives. Any discussion? Well, first of all, let me call for the vote.
Second.
Okay, any discussions? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 10.3, board top 10. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. 10.4, board follow-up.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 10.5, future agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Let's go to 11.0, summary of board requests by Dr. Volcomer.
Thank you, President Medina. These are the follow-ups that I have listed from this board meeting. In relation to Footsteps to Brilliance, I have 2. Make sure that we have access to the data. and make sure that we're reaching out and involving all segments of our community. In relation to safe schools, safe routes to school, excuse me, these are the follow-up items I have. Make sure that school police is supporting safe routes to school and from school, by the way, not just safe routes to school, but and from school. Work with the city and or a contractor for work in terms of making sure the streets are clean, not only safe, but clean. Limit the number of safe routes to school to those that we can manage appropriately at this point. Then we have to make sure that we take into account Megan's Law whenever and wherever we can. And then finally, to bring the team that organizes our safe routes to school to the board for recognition. We have a follow-up to revisit the length of our bus zones, and I might add editorially that things that are really old are not necessarily really bad, personally. But we will bring that back to you in terms of revisiting the eligibility for bus zones. Then we have exploring, and did I get this right, Dr. Hill? Is it the Give Back program? Give Back program? Okay. Explore the Give Back program and its viability in our district. Make sure that we get notice out to teachers about the event for the San Bernardino County Museum. Revisit or take a look at our mural policy. Our students, our high school students, want to be involved in beautifying their campuses through murals. So bring back our mural policy for an updating. Also with, I'm sorry, I didn't look at my arrow. With Safe Routes to School, look at Sandals as a possible partner. Sandals Church as a possible partner for Safe Routes. And then finally, I have bring back the Chromebook approval item for the board, as requested by Dr. Flores.
All right, and Mr. Tillman, you had an additional one?
Yeah, I just want you to know, because you all were in closed session, but we lost about 40 or 50 parents that were here for early presentation, but they left because we took so much time in closed session, and I thought we said once school started back, we weren't going to do closed session at the start of the meeting, and school has started.
Well, before we went in, because I was going to move them forward, because that's something that was suggested that we move them forward by Dr. Hill, and it was where Dr. Marsden, you asked, and they said that they would.
For the presentation for the recognition, the staff had been informed, the parents and community had been informed that they'd be recognized about 6:15. To be here at 6:15, they'd be recognized shortly after
And
that.
so we arrived 30 minutes, we came out 30 minutes
Yeah,
late.
my only point is, we had this discussion, so I'm just hoping that we don't make it routine that we do closed session at the start of the meeting. Because you see the effects. You didn't see it because you weren't out here. But to see 50 or 60 people just walk out the door because they have no way of knowing when we're coming out.
Mhm.
Because we don't know when we're coming out.
Yeah.
So I think
So
to be
we
fair,
could
on the school night, that we make sure that
So-
either we have a firm time that we know we're going to come out and we hold to it, and then go back to closed session afterwards. But I think there's nothing more important than our parents and students that come out to these meetings.
Definitely.
So I really think that's why I'm not for the whole doing closed session before the meeting.
Okay. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, and I hope we'll take a look at it and just set protocol. What we talked about was closed session 1 hour, which meant at 6:30 we should have come out, and we did not. But I just hope as a result, I know 60 students weren't here for the presentation, because I saw both of them at the police department, and there weren't 60 students here. They might have been here for some other reason, but I'm hoping that we just do what we said we would do, closed session from 5:30 to 6:30. If we do not finish, we come out and we go back, but we just need a timekeeper for that. So I'm hoping we'll keep it this way, not only for the benefit of our parents and students, but also our staff members.
All right.
Thank you, and especially cabinet.
And they may have been here for other reasons. Maybe they were here for the Powell Center event also. But I'm telling you, there were a large number of parents and students that left because they had waited and they didn't know when
We
we were
will
going to come
definitely
out.
be mindful of that. Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Ms. Rogers?
I didn't hear you say that we were going to find out about the age of the Chromebooks that I had mentioned. Did you say that? Yeah, I asked a question about the age so we can kind of partner that with the Footsteps of Brilliance.
Age or grade?
age grade, where are we
Oh,
at? Can
I'm
we
sorry. I thought
use
that-
that
I
part?
thought that
He
Nick-
answered the question, but what I was saying is that I want us to then make that promotion happen.
Great. Okay.
So that we
Got it.
can mirror those here.
That it's
And then
available to all
I know
grade levels.
earlier in our discussion, we talked about the supplemental lunch program concern that came up, the notion that you don't qualify because you're at a particular school. So is that on our follow-up as
So
well?
those would be follow-ups from public comments that are distinct from the board.
Abigail said after, can you give us a BC?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
That's
Thank you,
why.
thank you
Yes.
so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you for
Thank you.
updating. Mr. Gallo.
Yes, thanks. I have maybe a recommendation, and I'm thinking if we publish times in the agenda, we just stick to the agenda and stick to those times. And if we need to continue an item, we should just do so at the end of the board meeting. Now, and I don't care what that is. It could be any item on the agenda that we happen to, provide, and we just do this kind of like we have a section 11. Well, we have continuances of items that we didn't do. Because look, this is a meeting of the board. This is a board meeting that happens to be conducted in public. It's not a meeting of the public in which the board is present. So I want to make sure the board actually gets the sufficient time for us to make appropriate decisions, get informed on things and everything. And I really don't want to cut that short because the last thing we want to do is just adhere to a time schedule, an arbitrary time schedule, and not get appropriate information and then make bad decisions. I mean, we don't want to do that. I mean, so I think that might be a way to do this. When we start, we could do some piece at the beginning if you want, closed session, but we go out at the time that we're going to go, and maybe a session 12 is a continuing items session, or maybe actually 11 becomes 12.
Madam President.
And we do it that way.
I agree with Mr. Gallo and also with Mr. Tillman. We have to be mindful also of our kids and our parents. It's a school night. And and I also think that it is our board meeting, and we have to have time to make decisions and not make them in a hurry and so forth, yeah.
And so I completely agree with both, so now I'll make sure that we're mindful of that and moving forward.
And it just shows respect, Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you both. Thank you all. Okay, so we're now in 12.0, adjournment. Okay. Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Good evening, everyone.